Hello friends, as you can see I am in the parking lot of a shopping plaza. I already connected the DJI Neo drone to the remote control RSC January 2nd, and we have 18 satellites linked. It is 10 o'clock at night and there is very little wind, so I will take the opportunity to carry out a night flight test. I have 94% battery and will fly the drone in normal EN mode. I activate the automatic takeoff and the drone rises to a height of less than 1 meter, updating the point of origin.
Home point updated.
The environment is too dark and hovering cannot be maintained accurately. See how the palm trees don't move because the wind is minimal. I start the recording with the drone camera and start to raise it. I change the camera's exposure value to +3, and you can see the difference in the image. I advance 5 meters and begin to climb, first to a limit height established by me of 50 meters. Well, since it is a test, I will see if I increase the altitude. As for the distance, I left the setting at 20 meters to prevent the drone from getting too far away and losing it in case of a failure. I have a good control signal and 17 to 20 satellites linked to the drone. The image quality is not so bad for a $200 drone. What strikes me is that on the screen, the point of origin H jumps from one side to the other.
Max altitude reached.
The drone is already 50 meters away. I make a small turn to verify that it responds well to the control. So far I don't see anything that prevents me from raising the altitude, so I increase it to 30 meters more. The maximum distance was 20 meters. And I raise the DJI Neo drone up to 80 meters high.
Max altitude reached.
I start a 360-degree turn to see how the drone behaves with respect to the control signal and the satellite signal. Notice how the application indicates that the drone moves from its place almost 2 meters, and the number of satellites is variable. I lower the camera's exposure value to 2, based on the application's overexposure marker. So far, I'm surprised that the drone continues to fly without any news, as I've seen comments saying that this drone can't fly at night. But then he noticed that when the exposure value changed, it moved a few more meters from the point of origin. It is worth mentioning that I have not moved the right joystick. Another thing I notice is that the H signal on the cell phone screen jumps a little more from one side to the other, which makes me think that there is a failure in the telemetry. I have 15 to 17 satellites linked. I decide to lower the drone manually, that is, with the joystick, without using the automatic RTH. Despite the scarce wind, the drone rocks a little. The video quality in these light conditions is salvageable. I feel that when descending the drone moves a lot, and I decide to raise it again to try the automatic RTH. But this time I move him 20 meters away. I have 20 satellites and 4 minutes of flight.
Max flight distance reached.
I plan to move it a little farther away, but I prefer to leave it at 20 meters because as it is a test, I do not want to risk losing another drone.
Max altitude reached.
The drone reached 80 meters, so it activated the automatic RTH. See what happens.
Return to home. Attitude mode. Fly with caution. Visual positioning failure unable to return automatically. Pay attention to flight safety.
When turning to return home, the drone went into ATTI mode for a few seconds. According to the application, I return 10 meters. Then it hovers. I waited a little until I regained the connection to the satellites and I reactivated the RTH or return home.
Return to home.
And now it has worked.
Landing.
The drone did not return exactly to the point of origin and swayed, without remaining stable, but remember that when taking off, the application gives a warning or warning, and it is the pilot's responsibility to perform the flight. According to the experience I had doing this test with the DJI Neo drone, I can say that it is feasible to fly at night, as long as it is with the RC remote control January 2nd. And in cases of needing to film an event, but without moving the drone too far away, that is, always keeping it in sight. In my case, I use a small LED light under the drone to be able to visualize it in the dark. If you liked this video, support me by giving a like and subscribe to the channel.